Hi everyone, it's John Gronsky. I'm here in South Carolina. Anytime I get a chance to travel to different parts of the country and link up with leaders that I really admire and respect, I take advantage of just asking them questions so I could learn from them. And I'm with a great leader here today. His name is Ed Dennis, uh, Major, retired United States Army. He was a EOD officer. That stands for Explosive Ordnance Disposal. So he was an ordnance officer and served in combat. And again, I just really admire Ed for his perspective on leadership. So Ed, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. Let me turn the camera on you.
All right.
And there you go. So, hey, Ed, I got a question for you. I know in your distinguished Army career, you've been around some very good leaders. And could you name three traits that you think are common among the very good leaders that you've had the opportunity to serve with over your Army career?
That's a good question. I would say humble. All of them were humble. I'd say they were all, servant leaders.
Okay, now, servant leaders, could you unpack that a little bit and what did that look like being a servant leader?
Well, a servant leader, they don't forget the human dimension,
Okay.
right? They treat everybody like they want to be treated.
Yeah.
Recognizing that, inherently in some of the stuff that we do in the military is dangerous, and sometimes people get hurt, but you mitigate those risks, and you just treat them with respect.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
not as your servants, right? And honestly, the best leaders, in servant leadership, what it means to me is you're there for your soldiers or the service members that work for you. They're not there at your leisure. You're charged with the immense responsibility of taking care of them, and you should take it seriously.
Okay. Ed, I appreciate you just expanding on that a little bit because we hear about servant leadership a lot, and I just wanted the people listening in here to get an understanding from you of what that looks like from your perspective. So thanks for that. So you talked about humility, you talked about being a servant leader, and what's a third trait that you think these outstanding leaders that you've had in common?
They never ask somebody to do something they wouldn't do themselves.
All right.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you do it all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're not willing to do it, how can you ask somebody else?
Yeah. I guess that goes right in with leading by example, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate your leadership. I know you're the executive director of the Andy Quattlebaum and Blackwell Families Foundation,
yes,
which is a foundation that I'm going to explain it first, and then I'd like you to kind of expand on my explanation. But the way I understand the foundation, you do a lot for veterans, you do a lot for mental health, you do a lot for community projects. But anything else you want to say about the great foundation that you're the executive director for?
Oh, yeah. We do a lot of, community building, as you touched on. Then there's the mental health, veterans. Outdoor conservation is a very big one, in education.
All right, man. That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate you continuing to give back. So thanks for your service in the Army, and thanks for continuing to serve our country.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure.